Hi, guys. Welcome to another episode of the Beauty Pop Podcast. I'm Victoria.
And I'm Jen.
And today we have a lot to cover today. So we've got some fashion, we've got some streaming stuff. I think we need to start off right from the jump. We need to talk about the trial of the century, aka it's not OJ, it's not Amber and Johnny, it's Gwyneth Paltrow and her ski crash accident.
I know. Never have I been so in tune since really there was a hole in my life after the Johnny Depp and Amber Heard trial ended.
Me too.
And so, it's been funny because it's been a busy couple of weeks, but I have been loosely following the Gwyneth Paltrow thing. I thought it was stupid to begin with, and I thought, okay, well, I'm not even going to pay attention.
Me too.
But you kind of drew me in on your Instagram with like the crazy lawyer lady and all of the stuff going on. It seems like there's a lot here to unpack.
I mean, if you haven't followed this trial, which most people I don't think are really following it. Like I had a head cold earlier this week, so I was in bed, which is so funny because court TV has become like my new jam when I'm sick. When I had COVID, I was in bed with COVID for like, a week and a half or whatever, over a year ago. And that's when the Johnny and Amber trial was on. So I was watching 9 hours a day. No joke. I couldn't turn it off.
Well, if you're going to have COVID at a time that's the time to watch all that court stuff, right?
So this was a much shorter illness. This was just like a little sinusy kind of thing. And so I had about a day and a half, 2 days where I just felt really crappy and I was in bed. And then I realized that I'm seeing all these clips of the Gwyneth Paltrow trial on Instagram. And then I find out it's on court TV live the whole time. And I didn't even
that's
know.
Hysterical.
I didn't even know. Like, you can tell I'm upset. I didn't know. So anyway.
Do they have it like on demand or something so you can go back through it?
Well, I DVR'd it so that I can fast forward and I can go back when I miss stuff or whatever. So as of we're recording this today on Thursday, the day that we publish. So today is the day of closing arguments. So I had to pause because we're recording now. So I haven't seen all of the closing arguments, except that I saw the beginning of Mr. Sanderson, Terry Sanderson, who is suing Gwyneth Paltrow for crashing into him on a ski slope in Utah. And he originally tried to sue her for $3 million. Originally, a judge was like, no, you can't sue for $3 million. So here he is 5-6 years later. This happened in 2016. And so all these years later, he's back and he's suing for $300,000, which apparently was like sort of the max that I guess the judge would allow.
Okay.
It's not a criminal case. There are no criminal charges. This is a civil case. Gwyneth has countersued for $1, a symbolic $1, plus attorney fees, which she says she's going to donate to a charity. So that's sort of like the stakes. So this guy, Terry Sanderson, so I started watching this and I saw him on the stand, and it's been someone likened this on Instagram too. This is a Christopher Guest movie waiting to be made. Christopher Guest, if you're not familiar, did Best in Show, Waiting for Guffman, everything that ever had Eugene Levy and Catherine O'Hara in it. They could easily be in this courtroom drama movie. It's the worst lawyers I've ever seen on both sides. Like, her lawyers are just a little bit better than his, but not by much.
Which is surprising because I'm sure she has more of a budget to pay for good lawyers, right?
I think she got local lawyers to make sure that this wasn't like, Hollywood swooping in on this small mountain town. It's off season now-ish, right? I know they ski till like the end of April out there, but I think that, and then Sanderson, who is, I don't know where exactly he's from, but somewhere I think in that vicinity, he has a team of lawyers whose favorite thing to say is, I'm just a country lawyer. That's all they say. And I'm like, I would fire someone immediately if they even said that one time.
I'm just a country lawyer.
Because they're trying to pit Hollywood,
of
against,
course.
This innocent optometrist.
A flashy girl who was, running over this guy on the slopes.
Right.
And he says he's never been the same, right? Wasn't that one of the accusations, is that something's wrong with him now?
He claims that he broke 4 ribs and that he has had brain damage. And so the thing that's really kind of sad about it is that they've had multiple neurologists, neuropsychologists. I mean, they've had a million different experts on both sides. Pretty much all of them have diagnosed him with early dementia. Oh. And his team this is where it gets a little real, but his team keeps saying, no, it's because of the concussion from the crash. And everyone's like, you don't get lost in, the woods, which happened to him. He was lost. He was wandering in the woods. He got lost. He's disoriented. His personality has changed. They're all like, that doesn't happen after a concussion.
Yeah, that's pretty sad.
Then, unfortunately for him, what was admitted into evidence was an MRI from like 2010, 6 years before the crash, and it showed early signs. He had brain damage. He had past brain damage, and some of the doctors said that could be early dementia coming on.
Wow.
So it's the crux of it is that he's trying to say all of his issues are blamed on Gwyneth, who crashed into him. She says he crashed into her. Her 2 kids gave statements saying that they didn't see the crash. Her son Moses saw the tail end of it and saw Sanderson apparently behind Gwyneth. According to her story, he crashed smack into the back of her. She was screaming and said, "You crashed right into my fucking back." And so other people heard her saying that. Her ski instructor filed the report and yelled at Sanderson while he was still on the ground. And so and then Sanderson basically is trying to be a victim here. And he's like, it was a hit and run. She didn't even check to see if I was okay and blah, blah, blah.
Took off. But if she was hurting, she was probably hurting herself, right?
This is where the famous, "Well, I lost half a day of skiing." That's where that line came from. Because his lawyer said, "Well, you must be resentful that, this very expensive vacation was ruined." And she goes, "Well, I lost half a day of skiing," which means like, you're not losing your whole vacation.
Yeah, it was just half a day.
She was shaken up, apparently, according to the kids. They had lunch. She was very she was shaken. She had a neck pain from the accident and I think some back pain. So she, instead of going back out and skiing again, she went and got a massage.
Okay.
He claims that he had like all kind. I mean, the list is too long to list of the things that he claims he's had like for years. And then yesterday, I was watching the closing arguments for the defense, which is Gwyneth's team. So yesterday, and I don't know why they didn't bring this out sooner, but I'm happy that I didn't miss it. They bring out his Facebook page.
Oh, good. What did we find out on that?
Oh, kids, if you're going to sue somebody, check your Facebook and Instagram first, because they went deep. Since the accident, he's gone scuba diving 4 times.
Oh, no.
He hiked Machu Picchu. He went ziplining in Costa Rica. He whitewater rafted down the Amazon.
Oh, come on.
He did a bike tour of Holland.
This is unbelievable.
He rode camels in Morocco twice. I mean, the list of I almost want to say he's been to more places than Gwyneth has been to.
That is so crazy.
And
he posted pictures.
He has a picture in every one of them. So they put him up on the stand and they go through. It's 175 pictures.
Oh my gosh.
This is you on a bike tour. He's riding a moped, a camel, a canoe, a kayak, whitewater rafting. Because he's claiming that he can't do any activities alone. He's also been skiing at least 3 times that they could document since the accident. So he's trying to claim that, and he does these long, extensive hikes because they pointed out, the backpack, the camelback that has the water, hose.
Right.
You only need that when you're like going on a long hike.
And that's what he was on.
And that's what he's doing. And he's done it numerous times. But to hike Machu Picchu, that's
no joke.
That's
right.
a big deal. So basically, his whole argument was just completely blown up in the final, in his final appearance when her team called him back on the stand.
Wow.
I mean, it's yeah. So anyway, here's the thing that's most important. The fashion. Everybody wants to me.
She's been looking beautiful, by the way.
She looks great. So what we're going to do, I have a whole list of the different things that she has worn, including, and I can make one, there's yesterday on Wednesday's courtroom. I have not seen her shoes today for closing arguments, but she has, I think like a blue navy. She wears a lot of navy blue and black, which I do too. I always really like her style. It's very monochromatic. It's like, kind of my thing. So she's had like a gray suit on. She's had a navy blue suit. She's had a pantsuit. She's had skirts, long dresses, the whole thing. Most of it is available on Goop. Like she is,
which is really pretty cool. She's really wearing her stuff.
Yeah, I mean,
she might as well use this as an advertising opportunity, though. If she's going to be bothered having to go through a trial, you might as well do a little marketing of your products, right?
Yep. And so, and I've seen a lot of, it's funny, like Vogue is Instagramming about it, and like Allure and all the fashion people are really into it. Not because, it's literally like, this is the thing, like it sums up the whole trial. She's like, well, I lost half a day of skiing. And he says, I can't enjoy wine tastings anymore. I can't.
How do you not enjoy wine tasting?
Because of his trauma, his head. Oh. Yeah. So it's literally like the trial of the 1%. Like it's the it's the whitest trial that you'll ever see. Like this is white privilege at its best.
And there's a jury there too, right?
There is a jury that I can't even imagine what's going through their minds. Because
they must love being on that, because this is one, there are some where you have to determine like the outcome of someone's life. Like, do I have to put this person away? Or, gosh, even go down the road of the death penalty. This is a Gwyneth Paltrow skiing accident case. So it's not like there's a ton hanging in the balance here. So it must be fun. Plus, they're going to be able to go on all the TV shows and tell their story. They're going to be, it's, if they want to do that, it's not a terrible trial to be on.
I think it's pretty fun. And I was watching, because I've been watching court TV. And so when they cut back to the studio, they have anchors who are either former judges or they are former attorneys. And then they have guests on. There's one criminal defense attorney who's my favorite. His name's Jack something. He is hilarious because his comments on all of this is just like, it's so funny. But a lot of the, but like I said, the big focus for a lot of people is the fashion. And a lot of the stuff that she's wearing, you can find on Goop. Dumois is my favorite. That's like my favorite Instagram account. So I messaged her and I said, like, day 2 or something, or maybe even day 1, Gwyneth had this like cream colored turtleneck sweater on. And then she had the collar, up straight. Like it was not like a fold over turtleneck sweater, which I like the kind that stays up on its own. So it's like a single layer, stays up. And the cool thing about it, it only went right below the elbow, and it had like almost like a ruffle sleeve. It was really pretty. It's a wool sweater. It was really pretty. So I said to Dumois, I'm like, all right, forget about the trial. Like, we need to know, where is that sweater from? Because a lot of people write into her and say, Jennifer Aniston was wearing this coat. Where's it from? So she's really great at getting other stylists to come on and say, oh, this is where it's from. So apparently the sweater was Goop, but it's sold out. Because I was like, I can't find it online. It looks very goopy, but I can't find it. So anyway, so there's a lot of discussion about the fashion. One of the things I will say, if you did notice, I think there were like 2 or 3 different days, because she's in Utah and it's snowing. So as she's walking into the courtroom, like she's in big chunky boots every day. There is a pair of black Prada boots that she's wearing. I have the short version of them. I have the ankle, the Chelsea style ankle boot that only, it's like a sort of, it's a little bit of a polished leather. So it's a little bit of a shine to it.
Got a shine to it, yep.
So the ones that she's wearing kind of hit like mid shin. Hers go up higher. I would not recommend them. If you're thinking like that you want to get, and it doesn't have to be Prada, it can be, because it's a style that's very in right now, like that lug sole kind of boot. Bottega Veneta also has a version of it. Zara has a version. I would not recommend it, because even on Gwyneth, as thin as she is, and she told the jury,
you up, right?
She's over 5'9", so she's tall. She's very thin. It hits your leg at such a weird point.
I know.
If you're going to, and I love the sole. It's the Prada monolith. All the Kardashians. After I bought them, by the way, I just want to say for the record, after I bought
they
mine,
saw you. They were watching you on Instagram. After I bought mine,
the Kardashians were all over Aspen. Like the whole family was like sponsored by these boots. So she's wearing the newer version, which is that, hits right in that weird part of the shin. But I would just caution boots, as a style aspect, they're, unless you're going to wear them with big flowy pants and it's not going to matter, that's fine. But you cannot wear them with a skirt.
I think you either have to go up to the knee or you have to go to the ankle.
You got to make a choice. Yeah.
Because boots are really tough. It's anything, and it's anything that adds like that line to the middle of your leg. It's drawing attention to the widest part of your leg. And that's not where you want it to be. And so I would agree with you on that.
Even if your legs are thin. Even if it's a stick. I mean, her legs are skinny. But even if your legs are thin, why would you want to cut off? I mean, like from your ankle to here, it's probably 8 inches. Why would you want to cut 8 inches? Down. Yeah. And she wore them with black tights and then like a long flowy skirt, but the skirt didn't come down as low as the boots did.
Oh, see, that's another that's
So
another problem that I have.
That's a problem.
I do not, if you're going to wear a midi, and I think midis are, everywhere
I
right
hate
now, like the
middies.
midi skirts,
I
I
go on
do
the
too.
yeah.
They
I'll
either,
say it.
to me, it's got to be to the knee or it's got to be to the ankle.
Yep.
The midi is not an attractive look, especially if you're trying
Remember
to
when we
wear
were kids, they used to call it T-length?
T-length,
Yeah,
not
now
good.
it's called midi. Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you, it's not really flattering on anybody.
Nope.
And if you're gonna do it, you better do it with some kind of heel or sandal, because a boot with a midi is just, you're asking for trouble.
It was not a good look. And normally I like how she's put together. This was not a good look. It was like a flowy kind of skirt. Like it just, I don't know. It was an off day for her. For all the
everybody
the trial
gets one.
looks. Yeah. For all the trial looks. And I think that she has done it. She looks, she had a gray wool pantsuit on that looked fabulous. I mean, she always does, going back to, probably the early 2000s when she was living in New York City, and no one ever bothered her, but like, she was on Page Six all the time, fashion stuff, everyone.
Yeah.
It was when she first started dating Chris Martin. And so she was always photographed on the streets of New York. She always was wearing all black, which is very New York. But she was always well put together. Like that was always her thing. And I feel like since she's full-time California, because of the weather, probably, it's a little more flowy now. Like she gets like a little, like and I don't.
We've got a little hippy dippy vibe going on.
Yeah, and I don't
think you'll see the skirt that I'm wearing today.
But that's not like.
But I'm also not Gwyneth Paltrow.
How long?
All the way to the ankle, baby.
Yeah,
Come on.
There you go. So you can wear that with chunky boots. You can wear that with a heel. Like that's the thing. Like you can wear that skirt with anything. And I just don't like
being
the
weird
midi.
with ankle boots right now. Weird.
And
hello,
being weird.
I speak English. It's being worn with my ankle boots.
I am not a fan of the midi. I don't like it. I don't like it in jumpsuit form, which is another big trend this spring.
Why are they doing that? I know. And culottes. Can we talk about the culottes? Like what? Come on.
I know. I don't. Come
on.
I'm just. I'm hoping that it's a one season thing, one and done. Like that's what I'm really hoping for.
I don't even think I want culottes for like around the house. I mean, they look very comfy when you see people wearing them, but not cute, not cute. And maybe somebody can pull it off. It's just, it's not this girl. That's for sure.
And I can't even do jumpsuits because my torso is just, I guess, too long. And so I either end up with like the worst camel toe ever.
I think jumpsuits are really pretty on some people.
On some people they look great. Yeah. Gwyneth wears jumpsuits all the time. Goop makes them. She looks great in them. They just don't, either they're too short in the crotch or they're too long. And then you like from behind, you've got like, I call them droopy drawers. Yeah. I mean, it looks like you just have like this droop in the back and it's not a good look. I know that jumpsuits went through a big thing last year. They were like, especially denim jumpsuits.
Oh yeah.
Remember that? Rivet utility.
I do.
Oh my God. Every celebrity had a rivet utility. That was like the jumpsuit. So I'm kind of happy that maybe jumpsuits aren't going to be as much of a thing this spring.
Plus, let's be honest. You have to take the whole thing off when you have to go to the bathroom.
It's like Oshkosh Bagosh in kindergarten.
I know. That's actually what's kept me away from all of those things. And how cute, they were rompers for a while, jumpsuits, all that stuff. But if you wear them out, you have to take the whole thing off. And if you're going someplace like, I don't know how people wear them to concerts and festivals. Ugh, in the middle of an Andy Gump, you have to undress yourself. No, thank you.
Yeah, I don't know. That's not my thing. But anyway, so going back to Gwyneth's fashion, we will be posting all of the looks and some of the like here's the cheap version that you can find. So a lot of the stuff is Goop, but some of the other stuff isn't. But she's always, when you own your own brand, it's not just a fashion brand, but they make their own stuff. I have probably, I don't know, maybe 5 sweaters from Goop. They're not.
Do you
cheap.
like it? I haven't tried any of the I know it's always expensive. Do you like them though?
I love them. They use this Italian merino wool that is, for wool, which I'm always a little itchy. Yeah. It does not have an ounce. I think there's some silk that's woven into it or something. It is, their knits are on point and incredible. So I would absolutely endorse the knits. Some of the other stuff I've been reluctant to buy because I'm like, what am I going to do with that? The dresses, I think they're okay. If I'm going to invest, $500 or $600 for a sweater,
right, It's got to be something you're going to keep season to season that you're going to like.
And so I have like the ones that I have are absolutely classics forever. Like if they hold up 30 years from now, I can pass them down to a cousin or I mean, like they're that kind of like, they're really that well made. So I would definitely endorse that. And it is a little pricey, but they also use Affirm, so you can pay in installments.
Right.
That's another
Which
thing
is
that's
nice. It's another way to break it up if you want to get a piece for sure.
$40 at a time or whatever. The other thing that's really interesting, and then we'll move on, we've got some other streaming stuff to talk about. The other thing that's really interesting is in this case, right, which is, like I said, this is like the case of the whitest 1% of America, right, in court, fighting over $1.
Yeah.
The other thing that I think is really interesting is that, there are a lot of Gwyneth haters, right? Like a lot. She's got so many haters. And I really think she just doesn't care. I think that she lives her life. She designs clothes for her clientele. It's working. I guess I'm considered her part of her clientele then, I mean, I love the stuff that she's putting out. But the hate that's thrown her way with the pricing of Goop stuff is really interesting because no one ever tells Chanel,
I know.
You need to be more priced for the masses. No one told Karl Lagerfeld.
They singled her out for that.
Right.
Like it's, let her do her thing. If that was what she wants her line to be and you don't like it, just go somewhere else. I've heard that too. And I think it's kind of silly that they throw so much hate. Like I said, I like to look at the Goop stuff and I look at it and I go, well, I'm not really in the market to pay $500 for something. So I'm going to just keep on going. But it's interesting. And also I think many times people forget that the importance of fashion or even some of the other beauty or lifestyle products that she has, use them for inspiration for something else. Take what you like about something and find it in a thing that's more affordable for you. And I think that it's really weird that people get so crazed about that with her because it's I mean, you can't go, I once saw, but this is from somebody who once saw someone negotiating at Macy's for something. And I'm like, what do you think's going to happen here? This is Macy's. They're not going to be like, all right, fine, you can take that for $5.
Oh, like someone was trying to like bargain?
Oh my gosh. In front of me in line at a Macy's, this woman was like, this is too much for this product. I'll give you XYZ or whatever she was offering.
Like she's
and the
at
poor
like
sales lady.
Bazaar. Oh my God.
Yeah, this sales lady who's like fresh out of school, right? Is like, I don't think I can do that, ma'am.
Yeah. But you're right. And you know what? You make a great point. There are a lot of things on the Goop site and a lot of things that Gwyneth wears that you can take inspiration from for the trend. Like one of the other things I saw, and I don't know who was posting it. She has a gold chain necklace. It's kind of look like yours. Let me see the bottom of your necklace.
It's got a coin.
Yeah. Okay. So those are very in right now, right? Like the chain link necklace with the coin or something that looks like a coin. I love that look. I'm so into that. Well, Gwyneth wears a lot of gold layered necklaces. Not as many as Gwen Stefani, who I still don't understand how she isn't choking herself.
I know. Or like hanging with her neck down.
Yeah. I mean, I don't. She's like Mr. T. But Gwyneth has like a nice amount of layering. And she wears it looks like yours. It's a gold coin kind of look. I don't know who makes it. But she was criticized for wearing it in court because apparently it's solid gold and it's like $60,000 or something. I don't think it's actually $60,000. I really don't think it's that much, but it's expensive. And it might even be the same brand as when Jen and Ben got back together and he bought her a bunch of necklaces for her birthday that were all symbolic. Right. And then everyone's like, oh, Ben spent $50,000 on necklaces or whatever. I think it's the same kind of company. So what you can do is, and what I did, because I love the look, but I, can't afford that. I went on to Instagram, got me again, but this is a good one. Have you heard of the brand Oak and Luna?
No.
Okay.
They're on like a tree?
Yep. Oak and Luna. So like, Oak and Moon or whatever. Anyway, so they have, I found them on Instagram and they're on all the ads. Like they're always on ads. I know you always pass through them, but I stay and get sucked.
Sometimes I don't. But don't worry, they get me.
This was a good one. So they have customizable necklaces. It's a chain that looks just like yours. And it has, and then on the medallion, which is actually it's about 1.5 inches in diameter. So it's a good size. You can put initials. You can put,
that's cool.
You can put astrological symbols. You can put a heart. You can do whatever you want. It's all customizable for about $150. And it's gold.
That's pretty good. And it's real gold.
And it's gold. It's gold. It's not gold plated. It's the other one, the good one. Gold vermeil.
Yeah.
Which is like blended in, I think. And so it doesn't. Yeah. And because I have some weird metal allergies and it never bothers me. So it never bothers me. But it looks, I had mine, I customized mine with my astrological stuff. It looks really cool. You can layer it with other necklaces. It has like a chain and then it has a drop and then the coin. It looks really cool. And it's almost a direct copy of what Gwyneth is wearing.
And this is the thing. You just use that for inspiration. You find something that's better. And I'm sure even if you wanted to go to Claire's or someplace and you didn't want to, you want to spend $5, you could probably take some inspiration, put together the same kind of thing. It wouldn't be as nice. It wouldn't last you as long, but it's going to be your dupe. And, you know, take it.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll post a lot of the fashion stuff because there are some good pieces that you can get inspiration from, especially if you're not in LA, where I'm assuming it's nice and warm where you are.
It's actually 47 degrees and rainy.
Oh, all right. So then you're the same as New York right now. It's supposed to clear up.
Let's see. I'll tell you exactly because, you know, it's important stuff. We do weather forecasts on a podcast. Yeah, it's 45 right now. That's okay, chilly for us.
That is chilly. Okay, so we actually, on the East Coast here, we might be a little bit warmer by a few degrees. But this is still a weird transitional time of year, right? So like this is the time of year where you can start to break into some spring stuff. But, you know, if you have like a long flowy skirt, you wear some tights, some chunky boots, you know, like the transitional stuff.
That's what I have. And a sweater. There you go.
And a sweater and like a cool necklace. And that's, you know, there you go. That's like the perfect uniform for the transition in, you know, in this weird spring, because technically it's spring, but it's not really. So we're in that weird time period. So yeah, I love all of that. And I think you're absolutely right. Take it for inspiration. And I don't understand the hate at all. I don't get it. It's
people
like
they have too much time. So they worry about things that they cannot control.
I have too much time because I'm watching court TV, but yes.
I'd rather look at Gwyneth's site and then take my time and go look for the stuff that would fit in my life.
Yep.
Yeah. And that's more fun for me.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so speaking of fun for you love a good documentary, and you gave us your review of the MH370, which is a documentary on Netflix. It's called MH370, the Malaysian Airlines plane that just disappeared.
Yeah.
3 episodes. We watched all 3 because you had said just watch the first one, but then Lou and I were like, no, we got to keep going.
Did you agree though? The first one's the best one, I think, because it kind of lays everything out.
Yes.
But it's all good and it doesn't take that much. It's only 3 episodes. You might as well finish it.
It is it really is fascinating, honestly.
Isn't it?
Because you kind of like, and when we were finished with it, we were both kind of like, not debating it, but we were like, well, that one idea about, you know, maybe it never made the detour. Maybe it did. Like, there are so many possibilities, but the heartbreaking part of it, and it is very emotional when you just hear the families crying, you know, in the room that they're being sequestered in and just waiting for information that never comes. That is really gut-wrenching, you know, that aspect of it. But it is a fantastic documentary. It's put together really well. And I think they present, and I think what a good documentary does, I don't really know what the filmmakers think happened, and that's what I like.
I like that too. And because they don't know what happened. So it's not coming at you from a point of view. In fact, it just takes 3 of like the top, because they are kind of conspiracy theories at this point, right? There are 3 theories about what happened. This plane completely disappeared from the radar. And one of the most interesting things is that there's 3 ways that a plane can keep in contact with where it's supposed to be. And all 3 of those things were disabled at the same time. Yeah. And so was it shot down? Was it taken over and landed someplace? Did they crash? No one really knows, but they present you with the 3 most popular ideas about it. And I have to tell you, I don't think any of them are right.
Really?
I don't think that any of them are there. There might be pieces.
I don't think it was the pilot.
I don't think it was either.
Yeah, that's the easiest thing to go to is, it was the pilot. He was radicalized, or he was this, or he was that. I don't know. I don't think
too many people vouched for him, including the victims' families and the people who worked at the airline.
Yes.
And I think if you are crazy enough to take over a plane and crash it into the water, you probably you don't have the best reputation at work. Let's just say that. There are people who get radicalized that no one ever knows.
Yeah.
But they can tell you're kind of weird, or you're kind of angry, or you're kind of standoffish. And it seemed like everybody who worked for the airline, including that poor woman who lost her husband, was like, I still don't think
she was a flight attendant.
Him.
And she even after losing her husband said, no, I know him. I worked with him. This is not the
Couldn't
guy.
be.
No. So anyway, I would definitely encourage everyone to watch it because it's a head scratcher. And, I mean, it really, I think you're right. I think the three main hypotheses are probably not independently right, but I think it could be a combination of two of them.
Could be combinations, definitely. And will we ever know? And that's the other reason why I don't know if it's 100% right, because and one of the theories is that it would be like the American military or the Russians, or, there are a couple of other theories that were floated out there. At some point, somebody blows the whistle on something this big. I think it's entirely difficult, maybe not for Russia, but I think it would be really hard now, as crazy as you think our American government has gotten, to think that there's not one person who would say, wait a second, they just disappeared an entire airplane and all the people on it. Yeah. Like, I just find that really hard to believe.
Yeah.
But hey, it's possible, and the government surprises you every day. But I just think that there'd be somebody who would get to media for somebody.
Yeah, I agree. We would hear more about it anonymously or however. Yeah, I agree. Yep. The other thing, this is super depressing, right? We're in the depressing section now of our podcast. The other thing that we just watched, which I would also encourage, is the Waco, Texas, the Branch Davidians, David Koresh. They call him Koresh. Yes. I always called him David
Koresh. Yeah,
but in the thing they call him Koresh. So this was the guy this was in 1993.
Yeah, it was in the 90s. Clinton was president because Janet Reno was involved.
Clinton was newly president, I want to say, right? So this is really interesting because, to be honest, I didn't know anything about this case. I knew it happened. I knew that there was some religious wacko in Waco. Like, I knew there was something, you know what I mean? Like, that's pretty much like all I had an understanding of. Yeah. It was not something, I know it went on.
Well, we were pretty young when it happened. And that's why I want to watch it. I haven't seen it yet, but I'll do that this weekend.
But I wanted
to see it because there's there has to be a lot more than we were aware of.
Yeah.
As a kid, you just don't pay attention to news stories like that.
So, but it is a very interesting story. And once again, I really liked the angle that the filmmakers took, where they're not on David Koresh's side and they're not on the side of the ATF and the FBI. They really presented right down the middle of, and there are people not from the Branch Davidians, because there are some wackadoos who are, I think, either still in jail or maybe they're out now, but they're still kind of, hanging on and still drinking the Kool-Aid. Even though this was not a Kool-Aid drinking situation, this was way worse. But what was that? Jonestown, right? Was the Kool-Aid?
Yes.
But then, they have a lot of firsthand accounts from ATF and FBI officers who were there. And I think they provide such interesting commentary, and they talk about the mistakes that were made on their end. And it's a really well-balanced documentary. And, at the end of it, I'm not a religious seeker. I've always been very spiritual, but I don't, I'm not a religious person by the definition of the word. I don't do anything religiously, like I don't go to church every Sunday because, I don't do that. But I always wonder, how do people get sucked into stuff like this?
Because they want to belong.
I guess so, right? I mean, it will leave you definitely saying, once again, like any other kind of cult thing, it's like, how do people sacrifice everything, their children's lives? How do you get to that point? I mean, this guy, David Koresh, and this is not a spoiler. I mean, this is new information for me, probably for you. I don't even know what his background was. People don't really seem to know much about him. He was in a band. That's all we know. He was in a band. He was in a band in California.
I've always heard he was charismatic, that he was a very charismatic person. And
not a good-looking guy. Not a good-looking guy by any stretch. He goes down to somewhere in Texas. He's from, I think, originally from California, or had at least spent time in California, recruited some people, And then, and then the women, remember like when the whole Ted Bundy thing was coming up and all these women were trying to get his attention, wearing the hoop earrings.
Same thing with like Richard Ramirez had admirers, and
he was the Night Stalker, right? The Ramirez guy. Yeah. And then the Menendez brothers, you're right. Didn't they have girls who were like trying to get their attention and stuff?
Yes.
I don't understand.
Remember the Boston bomber? That guy was on they put him on the cover of Rolling Stone, and he had all the women who were after him. It's amazing to me that people think that this is like somehow sexy to see these people who are like crazy.
And this went even farther than just like admiring him from a courtroom or whatever. These women a lot of them were married. These were married couples that moved into this compound.
Yeah.
And David Koresh decided one day that he broke up all their marriages, that none of their marriages were valid anymore, and that the husbands were no longer allowed to have sex with their wives. The wives could only have sex with David Koresh.
Oh my gosh.
And
they went along with it.
Yeah. And these girls, and I say girls because they went from 10 years old up to, late 20s, probably, maybe even in 30s. And some of the couples had been married a long time. And all of a sudden their marriage is like nullified because David Koresh says so. And so like these girls would wait up, like he would be preaching until the wee hours of the morning. And then they would kind of hang out. Like, it's like you go and see a band and you like the singer and like you just hang out there.
Wait backstage.
Hoping, and you're like hoping that, he picks you at the end of the night. That's what these girls were doing. And they said that they felt like when they were having sex with him, they were having sex with God. And I mean, it was like,
oh God,
it's crazy. It is absolutely crazy. And it's also really tragic because there were young children involved.
So sad. I don't think I knew about the young kids.
I didn't either. There were a total, I think, of 80 people who were killed. And I think 28 of them were kids. Yeah. So it's not an easy watch by any means, but it is certainly informative. And it's very well done. It's on Netflix right now. It's kind of like the thing they're really promoting the most. It's on the homepage. But you got to just wonder, like, how do people...
Next up for me after Waco, there's another documentary. I don't know if it's new or if I just found it. But there's like a Mormon mom killer or something.
Oh, geez.
So stay tuned. I'm sure there'll be more fun on our Beauty Pop.
Well, now that I'm on, I know, right? We just have to have like the death episode.
I don't know why I'm like so into like these documentaries though. They just draw me in for some reason.
Yeah.
And, and it's not like I'm giving up other TV shows. I'm just really adding this to like what I like to watch now. I don't know where it came from.
But you told me you've got something that you actually really like that you want me to see.
Oh my gosh.
But it's not like true crime, right? It's not
like death. I'm like an 85-year-old woman. I love network television. I still get a newspaper. I'm into
What's that?
I know. So ABC has this show, and this is really fun. If you want like as spicy as you can get, like with some good chemistry, especially in the first episode, it's called The Company You Keep, and it's with Milo Ventimiglia, who was in Heroes. He was in This Is Us. I think he's like a really good actor. He's fun. I mean, he's not, it's not like
I'm in the middle of my first time watching The Gilmore Girls.
Oh yeah,
because I'd never seen any of it, and he was in a lot of those episodes as Rory's boyfriend. Yeah, the bad boy. Yeah.
Yes.
He's very good, though. I like him.
What's really good, this is the best network show I've seen in a long time. The premise is that his family, his name is Charlie, they're like a East Coast family, owns it, like blue collar. They own a bar, but they're like con people. They're like a family of con men, essentially. The mother, the sister, Charlie and his dad, they all have the bar as like their front, but they make their real money pulling off cons. And so in the first episode, and I won't ruin anything here, but in the first episode, he was pulling off this job with a woman that he was supposed to marry. And she ended up double crossing them. After they pulled off the job, they get the money. He realizes that she actually took the money, screwed over the family and took off and left him behind. And so he's really down, and he feels like he let the entire family down because they didn't get their money, and he's heartbroken because he really loved this girl. So he goes to a bar. Meanwhile, you start following a woman, Emma, who works for the CIA, who ends a marriage and ends up in the same bar. And the two of them end up sitting next to each other and having this incredible conversation, lying to each other about what they do. Like they're not telling each other who they are, like all this stuff, right? And they end up, I don't know. I think they ended up sleeping together, but not the first night. And they end up like spending this weekend together. And they think they're just going to leave it at that, but they can't really stay apart. And so they continue having this relationship, not really knowing what the other one does. And one of the jobs that this Khan family is involved with is coming very close to what the CIA is hunting. So they're having these near misses with each other. And so I'll leave it there because it starts to unravel a bit. But I think it's a really cool concept because they're both living kind of these separate lives, but they have this incredible chemistry as a couple. How they found it, I don't know. But because that's not always natural with lead actors and actresses, but it's a really good show, and it's definitely great if you like a little romance, but if you like the action, and I've been really liking it. I don't know. I'm interested to know what you guys think.
Yeah, I've seen ads for it. I hope that it doesn't get canceled. Because I feel like so much stuff, and to be honest, one of the main complaints that I have about network TV is that I will fall in love with a show and it gets one season. There's a show that I just saw the finale, and I freaking love this show. It's called The Watchful Eye. It's on CW. Or Freeform. I don't know, one of the two. It's not like a kid's show, but like it's a really good show about this historic apartment building in New York City and the family that has owned it and built it and all the shadiness that's going on behind the scenes. It's a great, and the new nanny who comes in. It's a great show. But I've been Googling because the finale was last week, and I'm like, is it going to get a season 2? And it's up in the air. So it's like, okay, I'm almost done with network TV because they don't give anything a chance. And this show with Milo is probably great. And as soon as I start watching it, it's going to get canceled.
Don't say that. Don't say it. I know. It always makes me nervous. It always makes me nervous with renewals, but I think this one is good. I don't know. I haven't even looked at the ratings numbers, but I do feel like it might last at least a couple of seasons. And what's interesting is that, and I hope I'm getting his name right. I think it's John Huertas, who was in Castle. He was also in This Is Us with Milo Ventimiglia. He was the one that played Mandy Moore's new husband. After, spoiler alert, if you haven't seen This Is Us, she's with someone else. Milo dies, I think, or something like that. So he's actually the director of this series and is helping produce it. So I think it's kind of cool that they have that connection and they stayed together.
Yeah. And hopefully there's enough power behind it, because a lot of times, even with network stuff, people don't catch on quickly.
I know.
That kind of makes it a little bit, hard. And I think with streaming, you binge the whole series right away. They know the numbers right away.
Then you know. And you also know how it ends. You know what you're in for. You know you're going to get 10 episodes, right. And then you can decide if you want to make a commitment. And typically they know if they're going to continue on and, that kind of thing. But I don't know, committing to a TV show, I always hate doing it because I hate when I lose ones that I really love. Yep. But this is still fun. Even if it's only this season, it's a fun watch. It's a fun show.
Great. All right. Well, that's an awesome recommendation. So we've got tons of stuff for you guys to watch, and definitely hit us up on Instagram. Let us know what you like, what you don't like, at Beauty Pop Pod. We have a YouTube channel that we are populating with some fun stuff that we're actually really excited about. And you can find us on YouTube. You can also, same thing, at Beauty Pop Pod. So it makes it really easy. And we've got that's where we'll put the fashion videos. We'll put them on Instagram as well of what Gwyneth has been wearing in court this week. And by the time we record next week, we'll know the verdict and we'll see if she got her dollar. Or
she's been really needing it too. The poor thing's been suffering. So she needs that dollar.
Well, after that very controversial interview she did with her doctor where she said she pretty much, like everyone's like, oh, she only drinks bone broth all day. She needs to buy some sustenance.
She needs a sandwich.
She needs a sandwich.
A dollar sandwich.
She can go to Subway. The dollar menu somewhere, right? Well, thank you guys so much for listening, and we will talk to you next week.
Bye.